What's up YouTube, Zero here, and today I have a hot Charizard EX and Flareon deck in Pokemon TCG Pocket. In this video, I'll go over the deck build that you can see on the left hand side of the screen. I'll talk about each of these cards individually, and I'll talk about why they mesh so well together as a deck. Before I get into it, I do want to say if you do enjoy this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more Pokemon TCG content. Do a bunch of other video games, so feel free to check those out as well. Thank you so much in advance for hitting that subscribe button and liking the video. It does really help out me and my channel, so thank you so much in advance for doing so. Without further ado, let's talk about this deck. Now, this Charizard EX plus Flareon deck is a spin on the classic Charizard EX plus Moltres EX deck that was built way back when the game first began. Now, of course, the meta has shifted, decks have changed, and there's a reason why this deck may be slightly better than that deck, but I will talk about the pluses and minuses of utilizing Flareon, this Flareon, over Moltres EX when combined with Charizard EX throughout this video, because that is applicable. You're gonna have to know why or why not you may want to utilize Flareon over Moltres EX when you combine it with Charizard EX, the Crimson Storm Charizard that deals massive amounts of damage. First, I'm just going to talk about Charizard EX because it is the bread and butter of this deck. It is an insanely powerful card that can one-hit KO every Pokemon in the meta right now. So let's talk about Charizard EX. So Charizard EX has two moves. The first, for 3 energy, 1 fire, 2 colorless, is Slash, deals 60 damage. Not really great for that move. 3 energy, 60 damage isn't really great. However, it does have Crimson Storm. So Crimson Storm, for 4 energy, 2 fire, 2 colorless, deals 200 damage. That is a massive amount of damage, going to one-hit KO every Pokemon in the game that you face. However, after utilizing Crimson Storm, you have to discard 2 fire energy from Charizard EX. So the strategy of this deck is simple. Get as much energy on Charizard EX as possible, and then go to town with Crimson Storm. It's as simple as that. That's pretty much how you're going to win matches, is through Charizard EX utilizing Crimson Storm. So let's talk about the Charizard line, and then we can talk about Flareon. So I do have one Charmeleon. Charmeleon is Combustion for 2 fire energy, deals 40 damage. Charizard EX, the one we're utilizing in this deck, there are multiple Charizards, is going to be found in the Genetic Apex Charizard packs. The Charmeleon I'm utilizing is going to be found in the Shining Revelry pack. So just note that. I do like this Charmeleon because it's only 2 fire energy and you can start attacking. There is another Charmeleon in the game that does require 3 energy, so I prefer the one only 2 energy. I can start attacking for 40. Next, you of course need a couple of Charmanders. Now note, I only have one Charmeleon, 2 Charmanders, 1 fire energy for Combustion. This is going to be the Charmander from the Shining Revelry packs as well. The reason why I want this Charmander and not the other one that's in the game, the other one that's in the game right now is one that is Ember, for 1 energy, deals 30 damage, but you have to get rid of your fire energy if you utilize Ember. You want to build up as much energy on the Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard line as possible because you want to be hitting with Crimson Storm. So if you're utilizing a Charmander or a Charmeleon, of course there isn't a Charmeleon in the game that discards energy, but if you're using any that discard energy, it's not going to help you get to the Charizard that you want. You want to build up the energy for Crimson Storm. So you don't want to discard any energy before you get to Charizard, which is why I utilize the Charmander and the Charmeleon from the Shining Revelry packs. They're pretty straightforward. You equip energy and you start attacking. You're not discarding any energy. That is, of course, if you do need them. Now, a part of this line. I do want to say it's a part of this line because they're only in this deck because of this line, is going to be Rare Candy. For those of you who don't know, Rare Candy is going to skip, in this case, Charmeleon. It skips the stage 1 and allows you to go right to the stage 2. So if Charmander has been on the playing field for at least one turn, and I have a Rare Candy and a Charizard in my hand, I can evolve right into Charizard EX, skipping the Charmeleon. That's why Rare Candy is going to be great, but I give myself another opportunity. I skip a turn, so I don't have to evolve Charmander one turn, Charmeleon another turn, Charizard another turn. If I get the opportunity to evolve right away, I can do so. But I do have 2 Rare Candies and 1 Charmeleon in this deck, just to give me another opportunity to evolve into Charizard. Again, Charizard is the bread and butter of this deck, trying to get to Charizard as quickly as possible and dealing Crimson Storm as quickly as possible. And Rare Candy is going to be found in the Celestial Guardians packs if you are looking for that. Now let's talk about Charizard EX's best friend, Flareon. Flareon is a fantastic card to start building up energy on Pokemon on your bench. So Flareon, for 2 energy, 1 fire, 1 colorless, is Assisting Heater. It deals 40 damage, and on top of that, you take a fire energy from your energy zone and attach it to one of your benched Pokemon. So this is going to be pretty important when building up energy on Charizard. After your Flareon already has 2 energy on it, and it starts attacking, this means you're gonna be able to build up energy on Charizard fairly quickly. We get the 1 energy from Flareon, and then we can attach another energy from the energy zone onto Charizard. So as long as Flareon's attacking, we can constantly build up that energy on Charizard. And again, this is important because Crimson Storm, every time you attack with Crimson Storm, you have to discard 2 fire energy. So the hope is that you can at least attack twice with Charizard, so you can hopefully take out 1 Pokemon and then maybe an EX Pokemon so you can win the match. Or maybe you just have to take out an EX Pokemon, maybe your Flareon already took out a Pokemon. So as long as you get to that Crimson Storm on your Charizard, you're going to be in fairly good shape to winning the match. Now I want to talk a little bit of a comparison between Flareon and Moltres. So Moltres, for those of you who don't know, only requires 1 energy for Inferno Dance, 1 fire energy. So it's important to remember that Moltres requires 1 fire energy, Flareon requires 2 energy, but they're both fire decks, so in this case 2 fire energy. Moltres is 1 fire energy for Inferno Dance. You flip 3 coins, and the amount of heads, you take that amount of fire energy from the energy zone and attach it to the Pokemon on your bench however you want. So there's some pluses and minuses to utilizing Flareon over Moltres and vice versa. Flareon, you are guaranteed 1 fire energy every time you attack, so you're going to be consistently equipping 1 fire energy. Moltres, you flip 3 coins, and for every heads, you get fire energy. So there's a chance that you could get 3 fire energy. There's also a chance that you get 0 fire energy. So Moltres is a little bit more of a gamble. However, Moltres does only require 1 energy to start flipping coins, where Flareon requires 2 energy to start equipping that energy. Another benefit of Flareon is it's dealing damage. Flareon gets to deal 40 damage every time it's equipping energy. Moltres does not. Moltres is literally just there to equip energy onto the Pokemon on your bench. So that's going to be a nice addition of Flareon over Moltres. Of course, Flareon requires an evolution. Moltres does not. One of the biggest drawbacks of Moltres in the meta right now is Oricorio, and you saw that in the first video in which I was able to defeat my opponent thanks to Flareon. Oricorio, for those of you who don't know, is a Pokemon that has a special ability, and this ability allows Oricorio to prevent all damage from attacks from EX Pokemon. So neither Moltres nor Charizard can deal damage to Oricorio, whereas Flareon can deal damage to Oricorio. So Flareon is a nice counter to Oricorio if you do come across Oricorio decks. I like Flareon because it does deal damage and it consistently gives me 1 energy every time I'm attacking. So I can consistently build up 1 energy on my Charmander, Charmeleon, or Charizard, that line of Pokemon, so I can get the energy I need on Charizard. Of course, Moltres is nice because you have the potential of getting 2 or 3 energy for just 1 turn and 1 fire energy. Flareon's a little bit more consistent and it also deals damage, which is why I do like Flareon. But of course, like I said, there are pluses and minuses. The biggest benefit of having Flareon is being able to deal with Oricorio. That's why I like Flareon, and it's become Charizard's new best friend. So of course, in the Flareon line, and do note, it's the Flareon with Assisting Helper. There are multiple Flareons in the game, so just note that it's the Flareon with the Assisting Helper attack that you're going to find in the newest pack release, the Eevee Grove packs. And I also, with Flareon, like the Eevee from the Eevee Grove packs, the one that you can draw a card for 1 colorless energy. Drawing a card is awesome because you can get through your deck a little bit quicker. You can draw the cards that you need, whether it's a Charizard, whether it's a rare candy. It's going to allow you to draw cards out of your deck so you can get through your deck quicker and you can draw the cards that you need a little bit quicker. Now in this deck, it's all about supporting Charizard. Pokeball and Professor's Research. Pokeball draws a basic Pokemon. Professor's Research draws 2 cards, trying to get to my Charizard line as quickly as possible. That's why Pokemon Communication is also in there. I don't want either Flareon or Charizard to be buried in the bottom of my deck. So having Pokemon Communication can allow me to sacrifice a Pokemon I don't need for a Pokemon in the deck. For those of you who don't know, Pokemon Communication, you choose a Pokemon in your hand and you switch it with a random Pokemon in your deck. So if I have already a rare candy in my hand and I draw a Charmeleon, Charmander's on the field, and I don't have my Charizard, I can sacrifice my Charmeleon to try and pull that Charizard and utilize rare candy to evolve, which is why I love Pokemon Communication. It's going to help me get to those Pokemon I need a little bit quicker. Pokemon Communication is going to be found in these Space-Time Dialga packs. 2 more supporter cards in this deck. I have 2 Sabrinas and 1 Lily. Sabrina is an awesome card and I recommend it in a lot of decks. You can switch out the active Pokemon to your opponent's bench. Whatever Pokemon is on your bench, your opponent gets to choose to move into that active slot. But it's really great to disrupt your opponent's strategy. It can potentially get a Pokemon off of the bench that you want in the active slot to damage, or maybe a Pokemon out of that active slot that you just don't want to deal with. So Sabrina is great for that. It can deal with a lot of different Pokemon, Oricorio that I just mentioned, if you have your Charizard in the active slot. You saw it in that first video. I was able to get an Oricorio out of that active slot and have my opponent's Tapu drawn into that active slot so I can just decimate it and win the match. So Sabrina has a lot of different plays, but I love Sabrina, and that's going to be found in the Genetic Apex Charizard packs. Last but not least, Lily. Lily's going to increase the survivability of my Charizard. If it does have any damage on it, Lily heals 60 damage from one of your Stage 2 Pokemon. So Lily's there to heal up my Charizard if needed, which is absolutely fantastic. And that's going to be found in the Celestial Guardian Solgaleo packs. Let me know what you think about this deck. I think Flareon plus Charizard EX is a fantastic combination. It's really going to revive Charizard EX and bring it back into the meta. I love this combination. It's a really good combination, a really fantastic way to defeat your enemies. Of course, I love Charizard in general, one of my favorite Pokemon. It is an OG, and so is Flareon. Both of these Pokemon are OG Pokemon that were brought out way back when in the release of the original Pokemon game. So it's great that they pair up really well with each other. I absolutely love this combination. It's a great deck that I'm running a lot and having a lot of fun with. But let me know in the comments section what y'all think of this pairing. Are you going to use this deck? Are you going to use something similar? What cards are you going to switch out and put in to make this deck more of your style? Let me know in the comments section. Let me know what you think of this new Flareon. This Flareon is awesome, in my opinion. It can add energy, fire energy to Pokemon on your bench, which can really turbocharge some of the Pokemon on your bench and get them to where they need to be, such as Charizard, which is absolutely awesome. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and until next time, peace.